Last night I watched a really good documentary on Netflix. It's called The Tinder Swindler. It came out this year. Highly recommend it. I think it probably came out this week. It is about a man who essentially created a construct of an extremely wealthy scion of an Israeli diamond family and used that fake persona to swindle beautiful Scandinavian women. It's a lot like my personal life, frankly. And basically what happens is at the start, it shows this girl, she's a beautiful girl from Norway, and she says she's more or less a hopeless romantic. And so she's on Tinder, she's trying to find someone to fall in love with, and she comes across this guy who, his profile shows all the trappings of incredible wealth. He has what looks like a private jet. He's always on islands. He's always at the coolest party spots and so forth. Like only places you'd go to and things you'd do if you had a ton of money. And he dresses the part. He looks sharp. And so she swipes right on him, matches. They end up going on a date. I think she's in London, but she's from Norway originally. And at the end of the date, he says, "Hey, we're going to be going somewhere on my private jet. I want you to come." And of course she ends up going, she says, "When else am I going to get to do that?" And so she does that. The guy's very nice, treats her great, says, "Hey, just so you're aware, when we get where we're going, I have a daughter. The mother of my daughter is going to be there. And, just so you know, she'll be with us." And the mother of the daughter's there. She says how great this guy, Simon Leviev, is. And Simon Leviev, the Leviev family has a diamond mining and dealing industry businesses. They're billionaires and so forth. And this guy, basically explains what he does for a living. And he's always at threat of people who want to come after him. And he's served time in prison because his business enemies have made up stories of him. And so he's got this whole background. This girl falls deeply in love with him. And he does this with multiple women. So they build up the story and they show another girl from Scandinavia meets him, and she doesn't actually end up falling in love, but they become friends. But what happens is things are going smoothly, and then out of nowhere, Simon shows a picture of his bodyguard who the girl's met. Like it's a real guy that she knows of, and he's got cuts all over him, and Simon's been attacked. And he says, "Hey, we've been attacked. My credit cards have all been turned off too. My enemies are coming after me." This guy's like James Bond, basically. He's got enemies attacking him in beautiful global cities. And so the girl feels awful, and he says, "Can I use your credit cards? Just temporarily. I just need some money to get the plane going and get where I'm going." And basically what happens is he ends up bilking her for a ton of money. He's defrauding her like crazy. And it ends up being in the hundreds of thousands, actually. But he's doing this to multiple girls. So it turns out he's swindling girls all throughout the globe. They eventually find out that he's done this before and has been convicted and got out of prison and just kept doing it. So he was in prison in Finland. And he did it to Finnish women. And Scandinavia has pretty lax laws, so I don't think he went away for too long. And so then he just goes and does this in other places. But it's basically a gigantic Ponzi scheme where he's got women all over the place. And they introduce 3 of the women at least. Then there's others he's dated that they show in the film, show in the documentary. But it's really interesting because he's incredibly bright and good at this, because it turns out he's from this poor Orthodox Jewish neighborhood in Israel. They eventually go see where his mom lives. It's not, she's not living well. Not living in a wealthy way. They would not have the money to do this. Turns out he changes his name all the time. He goes by all these different characters, but it's all this sort of constructed idea of this scion who's got a ton of money and he's very good to people and he'll take you to all the nicest clubs and islands and everything, but then he tricks everyone at some point where he starts asking for money. And it's just fascinating, but it's a true story. The guy ended up getting extradited to Israel. He served really brief prison time, I think 5 months or something instead of 15 months. Like this was 2018 or so this happened. And now he lives out and he's totally free. And I don't think he's been charged for anything in Europe. And these poor girls are left paying off their debt, their enormous debt, which is a totally different issue because they've been defrauded. So But really good documentary. This guy could have been probably a very good CIA or Mossad agent because he clearly can play a character that has no relation to himself. But the funniest part of the documentary, even though it's not supposed to be so funny, is towards the end, a girl realizes he's fake, and he's complaining because he's homeless. He's run out of money, showing pictures at a $15 a night hostel, and he's grown a scraggly beard. And she says to him, "Stop being a drama queen." Like, she is done with him. And he goes, "I'm not a drama queen. I'm a homeless king." So I thought that was hilarious to have a joke that good in the midst of homelessness. But anyway, highly recommend seeing it. There's more to the story than what I described. It's still worth watching. I'm not going to ruin the whole plot line because it's clear that by the title that he's a swindler. It's not made up. But he ends up bilking people out of I think it's $10 million plus. So it's incredible. Highly recommend it. Curious what you guys think.